going to do a panel to discuss the importance of open models. I have amazing people with me here, and I'm just like you. I'm here. I just have a better place than you to listen to this amazing conversation, right? But before we start, maybe we could do a round of introductions. So we can start with my friend Tris here.
Hi, everybody. I spoke to you earlier today. I hope you already forgot me. But I'm very lucky to be seated here beside two real luminaries among a crowd of genuinely amazing developers. I am the program lead for our Gemma program here at Google DeepMind, and I work on cool AI research stuff, and I hope you'll join us in doing so.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marzieh. I'm from Cohere. I work at Cohere for AI, which is a research lab. My background is on NLP, machine learning, and our work in our lab involves doing open science and open research on making language models better and more powerful. And I'm very happy and excited to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laurent. I work at Kyutai, where I'm the CTO and co-founder. We started the lab a year and a half ago, and we're a not-for-profit research lab where we're building open models, mostly audio stuff, speech-to-speech models. You might have tried Moshi. And recently, we released Ibiki, a French-to-English translation model. So I won't be using it today because it works, but it's far from being perfect. But yeah, looking forward to the discussion.
Nice. That's great. I have my questions here because I'm a little bit nervous. Can you believe that? So I guess we could start. We're releasing open models today. Open models are moving the science forward. I think they're absurdly important, but I'd like to have your take on what do you see as the key parts of these open models and local open models to the community.
Yeah, so I can definitely talk about local models because our last model, so the one I just mentioned, Ibiki, we were able to get it to run on an iPhone. And the challenge there is that an iPhone, it's still very, very powerful compared to what you have 5 years ago, but it's far from being perfect. So you have to squeeze the model in, you have to reduce a bit the performance, but you have a lot to gain to that. The first thing is privacy. So obviously we talk about audio. You're very happy for your audio not to leave your phone and to stay with you, and the translation to remain between you and the person next to you. The other thing is that when it comes to shipping a product to consumers, if you run locally, you don't need a cloud infrastructure. You don't have to pay for anything. So it's really cheap and nice to have. And after that, the last thing is the hacker culture around running on device. So you had a talk that was about running models on a Jetson Nano. So soon you will all be able to run this wonderful Gemma 3 on device, and you will be able to build stuff that nobody has been able to think about before you, because there is a whole crowd that is able to leverage some small amount of compute to run super powerful models.
Yeah, can I jump in? I really like the accessibility aspect of building open models. I do want to bring in another aspect, which I think is just research and progress and building on top of each other. So when you look at where we are with language models, is most, if not all, of the technology is based on open research by Google, but by all of these other companies publishing papers, developing from the BP tokenizer to the transformer to the attention to all of these previous works. And the fact that it's open and published helps everyone to benefit from that, to use that to build on top of that. So I think that's a really cool thing to do, to especially in today's world, to make models open. And I'm very happy that Gemma is one of those models. I think that's really, really nice. We also have a family of open models, the AYA models at Cohere, that are focused on multilinguality. And I think at the end of the day, the benefit is for everyone. So when we try just like building on top of each other and help each other and progress the field.
Yeah, it's totally the case that research is about building on the shoulder of giants. So the fact that you can just start from the artifacts that some other people published, it makes you have a head start that is just gigantic. You might know that things are possible, but if you already have the start, then you reproduce the result. This morning, I was super happy to read the Gemma technical report that was already published and know how the KV cache is handled in this report, so some very tricky technical details. And knowing that, obviously, we want to adapt it to our research and see the upsides that we would get out of the same ideas. So it's really a community of researchers that each build on top of each other. And having everyone play the same game is amazing. It's what brought us here, and it's what will bring us forward.
I love this idea, but I'm going to adapt a little bit. I think standing on the shoulders of giants is really great. But I also think it's the small things. It's actually the sand castles. It's, you know, a million grains of sand piled on top of each other to make something really interesting, to make a thing that we built together as a community. That's a really interesting portion of what open research is about and what open models enable. To me, it's important that everybody gets a chance to participate in making the next generation of AI. It's really important that you have an AI that is for you, that you own, that you can adapt, that you can give to others, and that can be yet another grain in the sandcastle of cool progress for humanity. I think that's the reason that I work in research, is so that we can bring those new capabilities to humanity. And I think it's a collaborative effort, and that's why I love seeing so many of you here. It really inspires me to think about all of the things that we get to do together. Another thing that I think is really interesting about open research is we're in this era where a lot of stuff is model-centric. And models are very important, and I know this is a little ironic given that we're here to launch a set of models. But really, what you build on top of those models, that's the amazing stuff, right? The internet, the interesting stuff about what you do on the internet, it's not because of TCP/IP. And it's not even because broadband is wired to your door. It's really because people spent 20 years figuring out what the great applications you can build on top of that technology would be. Amazon isn't great because of internet technology. It's great because they built a warehouse around the corner from your house, and they deliver it in 2 days. And if it doesn't fit, you return it immediately. That's all facilitated by the internet. And we need to have this, in my opinion, for the AI era as well. We need to make sure that you can build things that aren't about just a demo on top of AI. They're truly great products that are centered around AI. And so I think a great example of this is actually Cursor, Cursor.ai. Raise your hand if you've used Cursor.ai. Oh yes, I love to see it. Anybody who has their hands down, please go use Cursor. I think it is the best product in the AI era that's not an AI product. It doesn't have any AI model in it, right? It just uses AI. It's designed for AI. And it's really a user-centric concept. It's about product in AI, and it's not really about the AI research. So those are a few things that I think are really important about open models. That democratization, the path of progress, and then this chart the course towards products for AI as opposed to AI for AI's sake.
Well, this is just great. And I think you brought something in the democratization part. Sorry, that word's hard for me. And I think one other topic I would like to ask the panel is still on this: how does bringing these models and this technology to other languages and culture, how do you see this? How do you see this work happening? Why does it matter? I think we could start with Marzieh, because she's expert on that, and I like that topic very much.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of opinions on that, and I think in general, well, first of all, I think a room like this, there's no, I don't have to justify why we need multilingual models. Like, we all talk, I think, more than one language. Maybe many of us, English is not our first language. And this is still a really small portion of the world when you think about all of the languages, all of the communities and people around the world. And it's amazing what we can do with language models in the past few years, the development there. And the barrier to bring this and make it accessible to people around the world that don't necessarily speak English or speak the top 10 most high-resource languages that now the models are getting better at. That's really, I think, important to make it more accessible to people around the world. But then there's a really good reason why it it's not done often, and because it's very difficult. Like when we talk about building multilingual models, it's not really, maybe like we use this term as like a model being multilingual and like evaluation of multilinguality as just like one number. But you can think about all of the capabilities that the models now do in English, all of our use cases, from code to reasoning to knowledge, question answering to summarization, open-ended generation, and then multiply that by the languages. So with every new language, it's important to think about evaluation, not just as like maybe one data set that exists in one language and say, oh, our model is doing well on that data set, so it's doing well in that language, because it's definitely not the case with English. So one of the main reasons that it's difficult to develop multilingual models is this lack of data, lack of evaluation in many languages that is comprehensive enough, that is including all of these really interesting cultural nuances of each of these languages. And evaluation is what makes progress happen. So you need to have like some reference point to measure how you're doing and whether you are improving or not. So really, I think the first step is building these evaluations that are more challenging and more interesting, really, than just like the existing academic task that we have for multilingual evaluation. So that, I think, is a huge part of that. So really working on evaluations. And then collecting data for these languages to train these models. I think that's another really important aspect that is we are doing better and better with just like crowdsourcing of projects, getting like annotators in different languages. As models get better in a language, so generating synthetic data in those languages. But there's still like a long tail of languages that are not supported. So there's a lot of room for research there. And I think there's also the usability, and the product aspect of it is also like a huge deal. I'm also like a little bit maybe biased because I did my PhD on machine translation. I'm very interested in multilinguality in general, but I think that's really cool that I actually really like that Gemma, today you announced that the pre-trained model is supporting 140 languages. So we know, for instance, pre-training is really, it's not easy. Not everyone can do pre-training a model from scratch. So having this base model to then build for these languages, I think that's something that I really hope to see the community do.
Maybe to take a much less educated and academic approach to this, I think when I think about multilinguality, I think it's a human element that we want to be able to communicate with each other. And there's positives and negatives to some of the elements of multilinguality. I think it's an amazing tragedy that we have the technology today that we could all communicate flawlessly with each other, but we don't. It's not actually possible. Some of you may struggle to understand my accent, for example. But then on the other side, with the expansion of technology, everybody starts to unify around languages. English becomes lingua franca, but not French, for the internet age. And that actually washes out a lot of the important cultural differences and cultural value that people really love and that is important to the human experience. So I think multilingual research in models especially, it's really important that we try to value that, we try to make that something that can be preserved, that we can actually preserve through better research and better technology. Not just that we enable everybody to communicate as if it was your own natural language, but also to feel the richness of what that means for culture and for language, for history, for the way that you grew up, all of that kind of stuff. So those are sort of the two sides of multilinguality that I think are really important.
Yeah, multilinguality is certainly challenging, but it's also the only way we will get everyone on board the AI revolution, and we cannot afford to leave some people on the side. And as Tris mentioned, there is nothing like getting a speech model to speak your language. You're very used to the English culture and hearing English everywhere, but the first time you hear a language that has a normal French-speaking voice or whatever your language is, it's pretty amazing because you feel kind of at home, and we want that to be accessible to everyone. So for that, we released this French to English translation model, and we built an existing translation model like text ones. But that's not enough. We need more language to be supported, and we won't be able to do it by yourself. That's why we want to do open research, publish everything so that other people can do the fine-tuning. And we already had the case that some people fine-tune our original model, Moshi, so that it can run in Japanese.
This is great. As someone that, I don't know if you notice, English is not my first language. But seeing this research in models pushing for multi-language and being able to preserve culture somehow, that's just great. And Laurent, you mentioned open research. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that. What do you see the role of these models and open research and how this will help keep the community engaged and how to do that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we saw a Japanese version of our model, so we published a model out. Actually, we didn't even release the fine-tuning code. We're still planning to do it, but we didn't have the time to do it before other people built on top of us and released a Japanese version of our stuff, which was pretty amazing because our pre-training only contains English. So it's a bit weird that it works, but people tried it out, and that was super nice to see. Also, to get there, we relied on other models. So we definitely had to build on a model called MATLAB, published by Google, that helped us bridge the translation gap on the text side. And the last thing that is, to me, super important is about the products that we built on top of that. So we definitely have ideas that translation is a good thing, but we don't really know what is the right UX or what is the killer app for the thing. And for that, we really rely on the power of the crowd to actually try lots of different things and find the usage that stick. And as a research lab with like only 10 researchers, we cannot try everything. Like, we're super happy to build models that are on the edge, but we're even happier to see people taking up on our models and actually building useful stuff out of it.
Yeah, I think this is really like amazing what you mentioned. I think in general, open research and open science is something that it's again, like we talked about, like the openness helping progress happening, and it's also like bringing people together to work to make that progress happening. And there are people who have been working in this field for many years, but then there are also like a lot of new people that are just excited about this technology and just want to get involved. So I think it's really nice to have all of these open resources educational resources that if someone wants to start, they can pretty quickly catch up with where we are with this technology, because everything is new and like everything is moving fast. And then the opportunity for them to get involved. So it's building with existing models or joining different communities. Like like Hugging Face has a great community. We have a community, and there are thousands of people there that are just trying to find collaborators, have ideas, or maybe don't have ideas, but they want to join a project to learn. And in this process, I think, and in general, I've seen in the past 2 years how we can do things as a community that maybe individually we really cannot do. So that's something that is very valuable, and it only happens if we are open, we are sharing resources, sharing data. So that's, I think, very impactful just now, but I think this is like what will impact also the future development in this field.
So we have some really amazing cases. One of the best parts of my job is that you all surprise me with amazing stuff that you launch built on Gemma, and then somebody pings me and they say, hey, did you see this thing? And I said, what? That's amazing. You know, at one point we had somebody build the world's best open vision language model completely independently. We never talked to them. We just saw it on Hugging Face, and we reached out to them. We said, well, how do you even do this? And we collaborated, and that's a lot of value from a research perspective. It's a lot of that collaboration that Marzieh mentioned. I think the other thing is you see major initiatives come out of some of these things. Insight's BGGPT, which I talked about in the keynote, is a really amazing example of this. There is a national LLM for Bulgaria. And that is a strange thing to think about in a lot of ways. They provide state-of-the-art models in Bulgarian for every Bulgarian citizen. But more than that, they plan to use them for all manner of government activities, to understand financial documents, to do a wide variety of things to help understand, all of the complexities and bureaucracy of the Bulgarian government. And I think it's a really interesting step forward, something that I expect to see happen much more in open research as well. And one of the values of local portable models is that you can say, hey, this is something that truly is mine. I'm going to adapt it for this very specific purpose. And I don't have to worry about if it can do everything, if it can answer, how many R's are there in strawberry, which, is a great query. Keep on giving those. But, beyond that, I actually have some business need or some other need that I have to fulfill. And how do I get that done most efficaciously? And I think we're really straining at the borders of what we can do with just a lot of general purpose things. So I really look forward to seeing what you guys can do from an open research standpoint as well. Please surprise us more. I love it.
Yes, please. I have one last question, which is I would like your take on the future of the AI field and what do you see as the biggest barriers we have, the biggest challenge we have so far. I know the field there's a lot of hype. We've saw some emails of hype in some presentations, and sometimes you are all experts working on this 24/7. I imagine you feel the same way as I do when I see things and I'm like, oh my God, stop. No. Let's talk about real things. So I would like your take on what you see as the biggest blockers or barriers for the AI field. I can start with Tris here.
I'll try to be quick. I have many things that I think are wrong with the AI field and many opportunities that I hope for. First, I think that people love the word agents, but I think of it as just AI that can do things. And I think that all AI should do things. I think we're in an era where we're using AI to show and not to tell, not to do, right? And I think that era should hopefully be nearing a conclusion. I want AI that does things. But when you think about it, it's a real lack right now. It's a thing that we lack in the field. It's amazing to me that I don't have an AI that can say, if I say, oh, I need some time with Gus next week, that will actually figure out all of the logistics and schedule the meeting, and we actually meet, right? I think most people could figure out that chain of events and make it work, even with just very, very minimal extra knowledge. And so I think we have a long way to go towards making things functional, and I challenge you to think about what it is that we can make functional. The other thing that I think is a great opportunity is that we're seeing progress in small models so much more quickly than I've ever seen before, right? You can now download very quickly and run a model that is as good or better than frontier models were 6 months ago, 8 months ago. You can run it on your laptop. And that's unbelievable, right? And back then we thought, oh, only the biggest of labs or the biggest of research companies will be able to take advantage of this technology. And now we see that it really is democratized. So to me, that's one of the biggest opportunities. And it's really in your hands right now to go do it.
Yeah, I do really like that. Just like this trend of not really trying to get things bigger and just like scale, but really thinking about why it's working, how to make it work. It's, to me, a more interesting question to work on, and also really more practical to use when to just in general, to if you think about it, the cycle of developing these models, as well as just how accessibility of that to developers. So I do hope that the future is not necessarily the bigger is better. So really having more capable small models, maybe like expert models for different tasks. That's something that's quite interesting. I do also really, not to just like repeat myself, but I think working on multilinguality is very important. I really love to see this technology use and access across the board. As part of our external collaboration at Cohere for AI, we work with different institutes like AI Singapore, the UNDP in Serbia. Like there are all of these places that they want to build their language model, or whether like it's just like from scratch or just like bringing this technology to their language for their people. So I think that's something that's really valuable that I hope to see more in the future.
Yeah, just to go back a bit on agent, I think it's super hard to know right now how much of AI we're using on a daily basis, but it's a lot, and it's a lot more than like a year ago. And it's even harder to know where we'll be in 1 year once we have AIs that are really, really helpful on our daily life. And just to say a bit more about these AIs that will look stuff for us, book things in our calendar and do random things, there we have to be a bit cautious about the power that we give to them. And to me, it's where running things locally, having software that is open source and can be audited is actually key, so that everyone can check the code, check what is running, where the model is running and what it can do, and get a sense of what the model will do on its behalf. Without that, the model can just go crazy and you don't want it to act for you. So you need people to trust AI, and this trust, you can only build it on openness.
Nice. 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 That's very good. We're getting to the end. I would like your close remarks. And yeah, Laurent, start with you.
Yeah, just some closing remark. I feel super lucky to be in an age where you can have that much compute power to your disposal, and the science to actually like build models on top of that, and the community to help you get kick-started. And I think we should all be very happy about this.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think for me, just be open, try new things, share what you find. And I think as a community that includes both researchers, developers, just everyone who is interested in language models, the more we share our findings together and what we think, like the problems and the issues together, we can make them better and go away. So I would encourage everyone to continue working on open science.
First, I just want to say thank you all. I know it's been a long day. We've put a lot of information in front of you, and I've been really inspired. I've had dozens of conversations throughout the day with many of you, and honestly, it's amazing the things that you are doing, and I hope that you will please continue to do them. Please continue to publish them and make them part of that open ecosystem, and we promise that we will keep on joining you. So we hope to see you at the next one, and that you will, in the meantime, build great things and share them with us. Thank you.